Welcome to Dramatic Pause, a Rose Theater podcast. On today's episode, we'll talk with Nik Whitcomb, an Omaha native who has recently moved back to begin a new position as the Broadway Manager at the Rose. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dramatic Pause, a Rose Theater podcast. And today I am super excited to be talking to Nik Whitcomb, who is our new Broadway at the Rose manager and also a really good friend of mine. I'm so excited to have you back.
I'm so happy to be here.
If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of jump into it.
Yes, my name is Nik Whitcomb. I'm the Broadway at the Rose manager. You may know me from other Rose shows. I've been in Shrek. I did Pete the Cat. I did Sherlock Holmes. I've taught a lot of classes. I've directed Ella Enchanted last season. I'm a producer. I've worked in casting for TV and film and theater. I do a lot of things. I'm a man of many talents, they say.
Absolutely. He's aware of many hats. He's a jack of many trades. And we're super excited to have all that talent wrapped up in a nice little bow for Christmas here at the Rose. So if you want to tell us just a little bit, like, you're a native Omaha person. You started at the Rose as a Rose kid doing theater here. So kind of what was your first experience with the Rose? How did you come to decide to be involved in theater? Like, what was that like?
Yes, so I took my first class at the Rose when I was 6. And honestly, I wanted to be good at book reports. There was a kid in my class named Tyler Hogan, and his mom used to work at the Rose as a teaching artist, and he gave the best book reports. Like, he came in, he had these characters, and he told a story, and then he brought brochures from the Rose, and I was like, Mom, if I want to give good book reports, I have to go to the Rose. So that's the reason I started taking classes. I took my first class when I was 6 with Kevin Earhart and Michael Wilhelm. I'm not sure what class it was, but it was a creative drama class, and then I just never went home. I just stayed at the Rose from that point on. And I ended up becoming a high school intern, and then I started working in the marketing department with Mandy and the membership packets and all that stuff. Then I worked in the box office, and then I had an artistic fellowship, and so I assistant directed a bunch of shows, and I acted in a bunch of shows one season. And then I went off. I went off into the world. I lived in Minneapolis for a little bit, and the Rose has always kind of been the place I come back to, no matter what, because 1, it's my hometown, but 2, I've learned everything from the Rose. So whenever I go to these places and apply places, I'm like, yeah, I've done everything at this one theater. I've been in backstage, front of stage, back of house, front of house, so I can do all the things, and that's because of the Rose. So yeah, and I ended up in Chicago, did some casting for a little bit, which was an incredible experience. I learned so much about myself in the industry from being a casting director. And now I'm back. I mean, I came back last year to do Ella Enchanted, and I kind of felt in my soul, I was like, coming back to the Rose may be coming soon. I felt it coming. And here we are.
Yes, and then all of a sudden, and we have a really, I think you might agree, a really tight-knit employee circle. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, we were super sad to see Dee leave, who a lot of parents around here will recognize that name. Anyone who's listening that has had a kid take any kind of dance class, musical theater, or voice, you have probably worked with Dee, and you probably loved working with Dee, so that was definitely big shoes to fill.
Massive shoes. She did so much. It did so great. I mean, she was awesome at that job. And also, Omaha, Dee's daughter went to my mom's daycare. So I knew Dee very well and actually got to kind of see how the job worked before I got here, which was very helpful in deciding to come back.
Right. Yes, that's awesome. Yes, because there's so much that happens for all of these dance classes, and to make sure that everyone's coordinated and getting where they need to be. So this was a huge job. But coming back to the Rose, clearly you've kind of said that was a big important step for you that you were feeling after Ella Enchanted, which is awesome. But what, you've been, as you said, a lot of places. Minneapolis, huge town, big art scene. Chicago, huge town, big art scene. Mm-hmm. So what makes Omaha special? What makes you, want to be back here and be doing this kind of work at this time in this place?
Yes. Well, I mean, Omaha is a smaller city, but it's a city. And the arts in Omaha are incredible. There's so much happening here. And so my hope in coming back, I mean, the goal was always to come back home and bring back what I've learned to take advantage of the incredible opportunities this place has to be a leader in arts in the Midwest. And to also put a spotlight on what's happening here already. There are so many incredible artists that are like, I need to leave Omaha to be seen. Like, that's what it feels like. That's a big reason of why I left, is I was like, I need to get out of Omaha so people know who I am. And that doesn't have to be the case. I think that there are ways that we can bring the spotlight back to Omaha. And I'm so excited to use the fact that I've been in these large places to see what conversations we can start, see who's around that may be interested in what's happening here. How can we introduce more Omaha artists to the nation? And so I think there's so much potential here. And opportunity, and people are excited. People love to work in Omaha, and I think that it's a place that people can continue to work in. And so I'm just excited to make more of those opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's super awesome. I agree. I think Omaha is really special, and when you think about the Rose in general, you know, I think Nick, I think you rank up there in some of the like greatest Rose kids that have come out of the Rose. You know, we talk a lot about Andrew Rannells, who's on Broadway, and now he just did this movie with Meryl Streep and all these big names, which is super exciting. And if you got to see some of our favorite memory videos, we got to talk with Q Smith, who's been on Broadway, and just an incredible human. Stephanie Kurtzba, who has been in the movie The Irishman, and just has done some really incredible work. And I think you're right up there with them. It's like the amount of work you've done kind of all over the country is just huge, and to be able to come home and continue to help a program that got you where you were and got these other people where they were, and continues to inspire hopes and dreams in children all the time, you know, it's just so great. Which kind of brings us a little bit into what you're doing now. I don't know that we've actually said what it is. You're working with Broadway at the Rose. We've said that you're the Broadway manager, but like, what does that mean? What are you doing day in, day out, and what do you kind of get to see with your job?
That is a fantastic question. So, the Rose Studios for Youth Artists is a new building on 125th and Center. It's like right across the street or across the parking lot from our old Broadway at the Rose spaces. And it's a 27,000 square foot space. So this job has changed immensely. I am facilities manager in a lot of ways. I make sure that the alarm system is working. I was talking to the Wi-Fi people all day, like 2 days ago, which was awesome. I also communicate with the teachers to make sure they get all the information they need. I work with the front desk staff to make sure that we're equipped to do all the things we need for COVID safety, but also just to keep the night going. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the building. A lot of it is making sure that the lights are turned off and telling Julie, the managing director, what doors aren't working. Being here at 8 a.m. when the security folks are coming to work on the alarms. But there's also a lot of program management as far as making sure the teachers know what they're doing, setting up the Zoom links to make sure people are in the classes, talking to the parents to make sure that we're getting bills settled. And so it's a lot. It really is managing a lot. And also on the creative side, working with Sue and the marketing team to make sure we get the right photos in the brochure and make sure that we got the right classes and that it looks the way we want it to. And that was a big part of coming back for this job, is that it is kind of all-encompassing. It kind of takes all the things that I've done and puts them into a nice little package.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's a very vague version of what the job is. Because it's, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot of things.
It is. It's a lot of things. It's basically the support system for anything and everything at the Out West studio, which is on 120th and Center, like Nick said. And if you've been in our old studio space, because, you know, it's been COVID times and there's a lot of people doing digital stuff and there's a lot of people taking a year off and that kind of thing. But if you've been in our old space and haven't been in our new space, that number, 27,000 square feet, might not hit you, but it's about 5 times bigger than what we used to have.
Yeah, we've gone from, I think it's 2 studios over there and a backroom classroom space to 5 big dance studios.
Huge.
4 drama classrooms.
Amazing.
And
2 voice spaces.
2 voice spaces. Oh, I included those in the drama classrooms.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also, one of those drama classrooms is also a paint studio. So people can come in and learn how to make design, which is a huge thing. That's something that I was always saying, like, where do people learn to be designers in Omaha? And now we have a space where that can happen. And we also have an incredible sharing space. So now all the classes that are out here don't have to go downtown to do their sharing or even be in their classroom. They can go to this space that's about the same size as the Hitchcock at the Rose.
Yes. Yep.
And with full lights, full sound. Yep. It's really incredible. I am jealous because I didn't have this as a student at the Rose.
Yes, I will tell you that, like I had seen the drawings for what this place was going to look like before it was all set up and done. And the first time that I walked through after it was finished, it just blew me away. It's so massive and everything is so new and light and bright and beautiful. There's these great cubbies everywhere for kids to hang their backpacks when they come, and the studios are just like our old studios were great, but these are just even better. They're
amazing.
Just
Brand
a little
floors,
bigger and huge mirrors and
fantastic
it's
lights.
Just oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. And then of course we haven't even said, but there's a lunch area here too. So there's a really nice space, especially as we start heading into summer, for out here to have lunch spaces. When we were doing classes out west last year, even the year before that, all the years before we had this space, typically those kids were eating lunch in their classrooms, just kind of in the space that they could make work. But being able to have this huge lunch area, it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible what's happening out here.
Well, and it's also great, especially for, it'll be amazing when we can have full capacity, all the people, all the classrooms. It's going to be so cool. But it's great for right now in COVID times because we can keep everyone distant and safe. There's enough room in our studios to make that happen. There's enough room in the cafeteria. We can split classes and we have classrooms for them to go to. And this space has just solved a lot of problems. It came at exactly the right moment, I think.
Yes, and that's absolutely true, especially even like with the cubbies, like I was saying, and that kind of thing. It really gives you the opportunity to make sure everybody has their own space, their own, safe places to put things to be without getting too close to anybody else. And let's talk about that a little bit, because right now we are still doing classes, and we have in-person and digital options for most of our classes. Is that right?
Yes. So all of Broadway at the Rose, any class, if you're a dance class, musical theater class, voice class, you can take it online via Zoom or come in person, and which is amazing. And we are taking registrations now. Our next round of classes starts on January 4th. And that will be the spring semester, and that culminates hopefully in our big concert that's going to be on the Rose main stage downtown. So yes, there is still time to get into musical theater classes. We still have some space in our dance classes. We have some room in our voice classes. So there is still time to come join us and see this amazing building in action.
Absolutely, yes. And yes, like he said, you can actually get signed up for a class now, and you don't have to necessarily start coming until right away at the spring semester. It's not like you would catch 2 before the break or something. You can just start fresh, new, new year, new class.
Yep, and that's when, all of our musical theater classes kind of work on a semester schedule, I guess. The first part in the fall, they do one set of songs and they perfect that for their sharing. And then they get a whole new set of songs in musical theater. They start learning new dances in their dance classes, and then they're preparing for the concert. So when you're jumping in January, you really are starting from scratch with that class.
Yeah, so you're not going to be feeling behind. You're not going to be feeling like you've missed out. It's a great opportunity to get started and still feel like you're very much a part of this class and not someone who joined halfway or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, we're talking about digital too. So even if you aren't feeling comfortable coming to the building, but you are feeling comfortable singing to your computer or dancing along in your own bedroom, there's definitely options for that for anyone who's interested as well.
Yes, we will get you set up with that Zoom link. It's going to be a beautiful process. You're going to love it.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. We really want everyone to feel safe, but we also want everyone to still be able to express their creativity through dance, musical theater, voice, and all the ways that the Rose can help your kids really get that creative side out, get moving, get jumping around,
stay energized. And the great thing is, we're all learning about the world as it changes in 2020. And so our teachers are doing a lot of work to make sure they're cleaning spaces and also getting Zoom training to make sure they know how to engage with students on Zoom. And so we are very prepared to have you in person, on Zoom, whatever it is. And we're happy to have you either way.
That's awesome. That is so great. And then, of course, right around the corner, for those of our listeners who are very aware of the way the Rose runs, then you know that our summer brochure is coming out soon. And if you're kind of a brand new listener or just trying to get the feel for what the Rose is like, then I will tell you, our brochure comes out pretty soon. The summer brochure tends to come out kind of early in the late winter, early spring, kind of like that January, February time. And it offers a lot of our summer classes at the Rose and here in this West Studio space. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what kind of our options are for the summer? What's different about summer than regular classes? What's that going to look like?
Yes. So in summer, we go to more of a camp structures, I guess the way we talk about it. Those are self-contained classes that will start and end in the summer. So unlike the year-long musical theater class where you do one song in the fall and one song in the spring, this is going to be you in your class learning one thing that whole time, and it's going to be contained to the summer. So I always say the summer is kind of a great way for you to kind of get a taste of what happens for the rest of the year. So maybe you don't want to commit to a full musical theater year. That makes sense. You can come to the summer, take this camp, do it for like a week, maybe 3 weeks, and see if you like it and stick with us. And the other nice thing about the summer is that the other side of the Rose, the Drama at the Rose classes, which are creative play and kind of more focused on ensemble building, will also be out here at the West Studio as well as downtown. So even if you don't want to do a musical theater or a dance class or an acting technique class, and you just want to find a class and have fun, there are lots of titles that you can come out to the West Studio still and do the other side of the Rose too. So I'm super excited for us to collaborate together and be in the building together this summer.
Yes, absolutely. And as you were just talking about that paint space, that there is some like creative classes that we do. One is called Art of Theater Design, and there are classes like that too that utilize that space. And that was one of the big reasons to make sure that there was space like that out here, so we could have those classes downtown at the Rose and out here. So and so basically, what we're saying is, you should never leave the Rose.
Yeah, be here that's what I did. Listen. And now I got a job, okay? That's how it works.
You start young, you leave for a little while, you come back, the Rose love continues forever.
Yeah. And it's so cool, you mentioned the Art of Theater Design. I think it's going to be really cool to kind of start seeing everything come together, because that design class is going to make the set for the show that you see in the sharing, and then we'll have dancers and actors that have been trained at the studio and all in one space. It's like we're making a machine here. It's going to be great.
It's going to be beautiful. We're so excited. And so if you want to get involved in any way, again, we're doing digital and in person, and you can get signed up at www.rosetheater.org/classes. And the title will say Classes and Camps, but you can use our filter at the bottom to filter by age, to filter by location, to filter by interest, and find what's perfect for the youngster in your life. And then as soon as that summer brochure is out, you can do the same thing, www.rosetheater.org/classes, and it'll also have a summer brochure there, so you can be keeping an eye out there for that. So I want to thank Nik so much for taking some time to talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything you want to say? Anything, that came to mind that I just, railroaded over today?
No, I'm just so excited to be back. I didn't realize how much I missed Omaha. And Melissa can tell you, I've never really left the Rose. I've always been involved somehow, and so I'm very happy to be a part of the team, and this new building is amazing, and I'm super excited about the future that we're going to have together.
It's super great. Yes, it's true. I think there have been many times where Nik has taken a vacation from his real job to do a job at the Rose for a while. But we're super happy to have him full time, and so that way he can take a vacation and actually maybe take a vacation. But no, we're super happy to have you back. We're so excited to be showing off this new space, in the ways that we can now as safely as possible. And hopefully this summer we'll be able to be a little more full capacity. But of course, just like everyone, we continue to assess the situation, as it goes along. And Nik will be here to answer your questions and concerns.
Yes.
So fear not. You are in really great hands. So we love you so much, all of our Rose members, all of our Rose friends out there listening. We hope you'll join us again on another podcast soon. Have a great night.
Bye.